Greetings, my friends, and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George, and today I'm back, but to talk about an album and a band which is very, very close to my heart. A very dear band for me, in fact. I am, of course, talking about this nine-masked Iowan metal machine, Slipknot. And this particular article, unless you've been living under a very, very dark and very, very heavy rock, this is the 25th anniversary reissue of that all-important self-titled debut album, Slipknot. This is a very influential album, and Slipknot are, of course, a very influential band. Very interesting, the course of their career and their trajectory. They're obviously one of the biggest bands in modern metal and modern extreme music, I think that's fair to say. They're a band that mean an awful lot to an awful lot of people, myself included. Slipknot were, in fact, the first band that I ever actually got into. They were the first band that I fell in love with at the tender age of 12. So I've been with Slipknot for a long time, and they've been with me for a long time. Caught them on the road numerous times over the years, and they're a band that I always come back to because they are the embodiment of just raw aggression and raw energy. And this album, I certainly can't say that it's my favourite Slipknot album. It's not even in my top 3 favourite Slipknot albums. But testament to the brilliance of Slipknot, even my least favourite Slipknot album will still be a great album. But this 25th anniversary reissue is a very interesting article. So I'm going to be taking you through the vinyl version here, double vinyl, and also the double CD, double disc version we have here as well. So this band, massive gateway band. Of course, the first album, the self-titled album, we can't deny it's very much a nu metal album. Of course, that was what was taking the world by storm. That was also what was nailing the lid on the coffins of numerous bands and subgenres, the scene wide. But nu metal, it did do some good. There were some good things that came out of it. I'm not a massive nu metal fan, I will say. Just want to stress that. Totally fine if you love it, it just doesn't quite do it for me, with the exception of a few albums and a few bands. Certainly the first Slipknot album, and you could argue Iowa as well, the second album, is still fairly firmly rooted in nu metal. Certainly the first album is drenched in that nu metal swagger, but certainly it is just bursting with monstrous grooves. It is just bouncing all over the frickin' shop. And I love it. I love the energy of this freaking album. This album, importantly for me, is actually the first album that I ever bought on CD. So this article has been with me for many, many moons. It was the first CD that I bought for the collection. So this is like the granddaddy article here. It was one of the first things I picked up on like 2 for £10, and you used to get that deal back in the day, as I hate that expression, but people do say it. From HMV, walking into a shop and buying 2 CDs for £10. Wow, crazy. But I did. So I've had this for many, many moons. I also remember actually picking up this now very weathered and beaten up article when it was released, and I was very excited about it. This was the 10th anniversary reissue, repackaging of the debut Slipknot album. So I think this came out in 2009. This I was very excited about for a couple of reasons. One, primarily, being the inclusion of a couple of great tracks that didn't appear on the original album. So on this original Ross Robinson production album, we also had a slightly different kind of configuration with the track list as well. But tracks Purity, finally, that ominous, creepy masterpiece, was included on the album, left out from the original. and also Get This, which is a very interesting kind of short, brutal, bouncy punch in the face. It's a great one. And this version had a whole mix of different mixes, demos, bits and pieces. So it's an interesting little package to get. It also has a live DVD. And you can still get hold of this one. So it's strange to think, 15 years on, we've now got a third version. In fact, this is only one of a few different versions. I've got two different formats here, which I must admit, just because of the importance of Slipknot for me, I did shell out and get these two versions. I did question, you know, certainly the vinyl is not cheap. It's not a cheap package, but it is a cool one. More on that in a moment. But when this whole 25th anniversary reissue was announced, of course, it caught the headlines, made the headlines, because it was being released as a 6 vinyl box set. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a very lavish package which sold out in an instant. Of course, you know, it was very limited numbers. It's Slipknot. I think that since they have made more of the very special deluxe version available, if you've got hundreds of pounds or dollars to spare. Haven't gone with that, but I have gone with these. So what we actually get here, we'll start with the CD format, is firstly alternative artwork, which I do actually like. I will say, you know, that the classic artwork, that's iconic. That's an iconic cover that has scared the pants off many unsuspecting record shop goer. But I like this. It seems a lot more clear and certainly really freaking creepy. I just like it. I think it works. Both are great. Both are really eye-catching stuff. We've still got a lot of the original artwork in here, including that Ouija board on the back there. So they've still got the aesthetics, you know. They've stayed true to that. They haven't tried to do anything with the current lineup, you know, no mimicry, no repackaging in that regard, no re-recordings or rebrandings, anything like that. They've kept it true. And I'm glad about that, because obviously we've got two members that are no longer with us, Joey Jordison and Paul Gray, who have sadly both departed. We've also got Chris Fenn, no longer in the band. We have Craig Jones, no longer in the band. We've had changes over the years, but I'm glad that they did actually keep it true to the original, you know. That is good. So this is a nice double disc. The first disc is essentially just this version. It is just that album in full. In fact, it has been a few years since I've listened to this version, but I think, if I remember correctly, Scissors actually has 10 plus minutes of silence, or so it has quite an extended period of silence after the end of the actual 8-minute song, and then we do get Eeyore at the end there, tagged on as a little kind of hidden bonus track, which you definitely don't get on this one, as I have listened to this CD article. So we've got the original album just intact. As far as I'm aware, I don't even think it's remastered. I think it's just the original album as it was meant to be. Fine. Which is cool. Fine. Okay. Just repackaged. Really, the big draw is going to be for the second disc, which is demos and alternate mixes. So if we hark back to the 10th anniversary, that also had demos, alternative mixes. The Wait and Bleed, Snap, Interloper, and Despise demos make a reappearance on the 25th anniversary. I will say that the demos that we do get on this album are actually really good. They are quite interesting. This is definitely not the sort of stuff that's going to get radio play. It's also probably not the sort of stuff that's going to tick all the boxes for all fans of Slipknot, or certainly the original album. because the album versions, you know, they're iconic. There isn't really any Slipknot material from this album that I would say is underrated. I feel like this whole package, the whole album, is pretty highly regarded. There are a few deeper dives, which I'll mention in a minute, which I think are exceptionally good. But over the years, Slipknot have been, credit to them, they've been given light and actually digging deep, going with deep cuts in their discography and putting a few gems in their live set. So we have had some rarer tracks being performed live. But what we get here is some really cool stuff. So we get all those demos again, but we also get absolutely caustic, awesome versions of Only One, Me Inside, and Prosthetics demo as well. So we get some more demos, which are really good demos. Really good demos, actually. A real interesting insight to the band. I think that a lot of those demos do sound way more nu metal at times, certainly with like Interloper and Snap, certainly. A little bit too nu metal for my liking, but when it's that thick, bass heavy, low end riffing and just drum insanity, it's perfect. It's great stuff. It's just chaos. It is musical, audible war. Love it. Me Inside, Only One, Prosthetics, love it. Great stuff. We then get some Jay Baumgardner mix. Not quite sure of the background of Jay, but Surfacing, Only One, and No Life, we get an alternative mix of those. And actually, they are really good. You know, I don't think anything, the important thing to establish, I don't think anything is really going to displace or replace the album versions. Those are still pretty much the definitive versions. But these alternatives, different mixes, they do work. They sound really good, and it's an interesting kind of different approach, I feel personally. What I do really like is the Ulrich Wild mix of Sick. That is a decent number. Decent number indeed. It's a nasty track anyway. It's an iconic track. It's just a massive, massive baseball bat to the face. But that version is good. I do like that one. And then we do get Purity, which I'm pleased about because that is great. And we also get Eeyore. So this version doesn't include Get This, which I find a little bit surprising and a little bit kind of disappointing, because Get This is quite a good, just savage grinding business. It's just pretty insane. But for what we do get is really good. I'm glad that they haven't just completely rehashed this and just stuck some different artwork on it and just sold it back to us. They have actually delved a bit deeper. They have given us some different demos and different bits and pieces as well, which is really good. I feel that they might have missed a trick slightly in that the advantage of this 10th anniversary version is that Purity and Eeyore, they're kind of in situ. You know, they're neatly placed within the album. And I feel that that actually really works. But I get that they probably wanted to keep this true to its original form and then give you a disc of bonus stuff as well, which is cool. And it is a nice package. It's one for the fans, but also if it's even possible, if you were new to Slipknot but curious, you could quite comfortably pick up this version. You'd get the original debut self-titled album, 25 years on, as it was, and then you'd get an interesting insight into what was going on around the time. So, that is the CD and my opinions of. Let's take a look at this vinyl then. So the CD I pre-ordered for $10.99. I must admit, it was Amazon. Hold my hands up. But unfortunately, it was cheaper than elsewhere. This vinyl version, when it became available, I think it was about $44.99, which I can't say I would necessarily have been happy to pay. So it's a nice gatefold package, don't get me wrong. 2 discs, gatefold, lovely, but 45 quid seems a bit extreme. I did pre-order when it had dropped down to about £37, so I could just about live with that. As we have got the double disc gatefold. On one of the inserts for disc 1, we have the original artwork and I guess a pretty original looking track list there with the Ouija board. So it's an expensive article. I mean, it is Slipknot, it's a big name, of course. Chances are it's going to be slightly pricier. So, colour scheme wise, we have black and red. And I will say it is nice. I do like this a lot. It almost looks like a rose, almost looks like a flower, which is quite interesting. Kind of juxtaposed, if that's the word, to the extremely heavy music which we get here. So nice, do like it. So I'll just tease this back in here. And again, it's the same package on CD as it is on vinyl. So you get the original album on disc 1, and then disc 2, again, original art here, but we've got all the demos and alternate mixes, which is cool. So I'm glad, again, that they have done that. They've kept both packages the same content there, which is neat, you know, respect. And it's nice. It is a nice one. Nice colour scheme, eye-catching, and it's just a great album. It's a classic album now, certainly. A nice one to have on vinyl. So I did decide to take the plunge when it was about 37. I think I would have struggled to justify the full 45, but hey, it's a cool one to have. A really nice one. They have done a nice job with this. I like the attention with the artwork and the detail there. Tracks wise, there are some gems here, and you know what, I've really thoroughly enjoyed revisiting this album, listening to it a lot. I've listened to this album a good, 10 plus times must be over the last couple of weeks. You know, there's very well-known, highly regarded tracks here, such as Sick, Eyeless, Wait and Bleed, even Surfacing, Spit It Out, of course, that very bouncy live favourite. But for me, the favourite tracks are towards the second half of the album. Me Inside, I absolutely love that. That is so heavy. Those riffs, that monstrous groove that is so freaking groovy. And then when Corey comes in with a clean chorus, it's just perfect. It just works so well. And you can see that formula obviously worked very well because it is characterized pretty much every album since then. Liberate, beast of a track. Prosthetics, creepy as hell. No Life, love it. Only One, and even Scissors, which is just one of the scariest, most unsettling tracks I've ever heard. This album is freaking evil sounding. I personally think Purity is an absolute highlight, and just that track alone makes it something worth getting because it's a great number. I think what makes this album so great is that it's so creepy. It's such an unsettling album. It's extremely heavy. I would honestly challenge any maybe more open-minded death metal fan to say, no, there's absolutely nothing remotely appealing about this album because it has some heavy riffs. It's got some bass-heavy, rumbling, putrid, mega low, down-tuned riffs. That is one of the main selling points. Corey Taylor's a legend. I've got a lot of love and respect for Corey Taylor. I think he's a great singer and he's a great growler and a screamer. He's just a great frontman, a great personality and a presence. And you can just tell, listening to this album, and to be honest, the subsequent albums as well, he's a genuine person. You can feel the anger and you can feel the pain and the torture in there just listening to his vocals. And he's a great vocalist. I hold Corey in very high regard. And the whole band, red hot. Absolutely. Joey Jordison, the late, great Joey Jordison, and he was great. What an absolute beast We've all seen that iconic footage of him spinning around, you know, on a drum riser. But even in these earlier days, just absolute kit killer. The drumming is phenomenal. And the sound of the whole album is great. You know, Ross Robinson, we've all heard the stories as well of the crazy antics going on behind the scenes, and, you know, stories of plant pots being launched at members to get them to, you know, really be in that vibe, but feel the danger and the threat. But, you know, it does work. This album is very unique, very unique. And in this 25th anniversary format, it really does hold that magic. That dark, evil, freaking terrifying, maniacal magic. It's all still there. So, what do we think? Well, overall, I would say this is a good article. It's definitely for Slipknot fans. If you're a fan of this first album, the self-titled album, chances are you're already going to have picked up the 10th anniversary version, the 25th anniversary version. No doubt we'll be picking up the 50th and the 100th if I make it to that. I doubt it. Hope not. But, you know, we're going to be going for this stuff because it's important. It's great to just revisit this material and also get all those bonus tracks and stuff as well. I would say, despite it being a little bit pricey, this vinyl version is definitely worth it. Certainly the CD one is. That was pretty cheap and inexpensive for these current times where physical media is extortionate by and large. But this, I would say, is worth it. If you can get it for as much as I did, 30, I think it was 36 or 37, worth it, definitely, because it's a great thing to have. Nice package. I haven't actually had a chance to spin the vinyl yet. I will at the first opportunity, but even the CD, you know, it's great stuff. It's a classic album by a very important band. You know, love them or hate them, Slipknot are incredibly, incredibly important. So that's my take on the 25th anniversary reissue of the classic self-titled Slipknot album from the mighty Iowan masked legends. Freaking love that band. A lot of love and respect for them. But what are your thoughts and opinions on this reissue? Have you picked it up? Have you not? Are you down with it? Are you not? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. Very interested to hear as always. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this humble review. Please do feel free to like, subscribe, share. The support is very much appreciated as always. Do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good heavy things. Until next time, take care of yourselves, listen to Slipknot, and stay freaking heavy.